Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to be analyzing the evidence and claims presented by this YouTuber, Mr. Man here, with the Spider-Man mask, whereby he claims that XRP and XLM are global stable coins with proof. Bear in mind, the word proof was used. So we're going to be looking at this proof and holding it up to scrutiny. Has he really proven anything, or is he once again spreading misinformation to the naive and gullible XRP community members who are so desperate for fiction over facts? Let's find out. So before we look at Mr. Man's evidence, let's first go through some of the different types of CBDC models for background and educational purposes. A CBDC can either be via an account-based or token-based system. Then we have two types of CBDCs for different use cases. We have wholesale CBDCs and then we have retail CBDCs. Now, retail CBDCs can be designed in different ways, such as you can have direct CBDCs, intermediated or indirect CBDC, or synthetic CBDCs, also known as reserved-backed stablecoins. So what Mr. Man is claiming is that XRP and XLM are basically synthetic CBDCs, and we're going to go through that in just a moment. So let's first look at account-based versus token-based CBDC systems. Now, with account-based CBDC systems, it just means that you need a direct account with the central bank and they have real-time access to all your transactions, which could be a privacy concern. Whereas with token-based CBDC systems, it means that you can use a CBDC that the central bank is liable for, but with digital wallets with no need to have a direct account with the central bank. With this method, the central bank doesn't need to know who holds what and all your personal data, but the private sector providing the digital wallets would be responsible for KYC, AML, and so on for their users. Now, let's look at wholesale CBDCs. Now, as for wholesale CBDCs, it is not for retail usage, but specifically for interbank payments, so payments between banks and between financial institutions that are mostly dealing with high-value payments. A wholesale CBDC would be used instead of a retail CBDC for banks to send money between themselves, and that's basically what a wholesale CBDC is. As for retail CBDCs, it is designed for the masses, for consumer use in everyday trade. It is basically, as the name suggests, a CBDC designed for retail. Now, a retail CBDC can be designed in different ways, such as a direct CBDC, indirect CBDC, or a synthetic CBDC. So let's first look at a retail direct CBDC. So a retail direct CBDC is managed by the central bank without the need for any intermediaries. The central bank would be responsible for keeping a record of all account balances and transactions, managing customers' onboarding, dealing with KYC and AML checks. The CBDC itself would be a direct claim on the central bank, hence why they call it a direct CBDC. There are concerns that this CBDC approach would have too much surveillance and control by central banks over the payment system, with very little or no need for the private sector involvement as intermediaries in the payment system. So when you have a direct CBDC and it's coming directly from the central bank and the central bank is managing the whole thing, there is no real need for intermediaries and the private sector being involved in such a payment system if the central bank is basically taking over. This is one of the concerns of a direct CBDC, that it makes the private sector and their involvement as intermediaries redundant. So this form of CBDC can be disruptive to the current financial system that we have, as it gives control to the central banks and eliminates the need for private sector in the middle. Hope that's clear. Then let's look at the retail indirect CBDC. This type of CBDC tries to keep the private sector still relevant as an intermediary within the financial system. So a direct CBDC would be issued still by central banks, but the private sector would be responsible for the onboarding, doing the KYC, AML checks, maintaining accounts, and the wallets used for CBDC holdings of customers. Basically, the private sector systems and frameworks are leveraged by the central bank still to maintain the CBDC accounts and provide the wallets and so on, but the CBDCs in those accounts are still a direct liability of the central bank itself. So a way to describe this model is a direct CBDC with extra steps added to give the private sector involvement still as intermediaries within the financial system. Then we have retail synthetic CBDC. Now, a synthetic CBDC, also known as a reserve-backed stablecoins, are not actually CBDCs. So this form of CBDC is not an actual CBDC in the literal sense of what a CBDC stands for, hence why they call it a synthetic CBDC. And I would explain. They are literally just stablecoins issued by the private sector with a one-to-one peg to reserves held in central banks' master accounts to back its value. So a good example here is to use something like USDT. If USDT kept its reserves for the stablecoin USDT in a central bank master account, then it would be classed as a synthetic CBDC. And that's what basically makes it a synthetic CBDC. The private sector issuing a stablecoin. Now, the private sector is liable for the stablecoin, not the central banks. You do not have a direct claim on the central bank with a stablecoin issued by the private sector. The private sector pegs the stablecoin, but they hold the reserves for this peg in the central bank's master accounts to back its value, and that's what makes it a synthetic CBDC. So if USDT was doing that, holding the reserves in a master account with central banks, then it would be classed as a synthetic CBDC. Hope that makes sense. So the private sector issuing a synthetic central bank CBDC would act as intermediaries between the central bank and the customers. Regulations would need to ensure that synthetic CBDCs issued will always be fully matched to funds in the central bank master account. If people lose confidence in this matching, then we all know what would happen. It would lead to doubts in the value of the synthetic CBDC liabilities, which would result in them being sold for less than the stable pegged value of the currency. And we've seen it done before with other stable coins where people lose confidence in the backing of the stable coin and then it trades below the actual peg that is supposed to be pegged 1-to-1 to the dollar. And it begins to lose value, and sometimes if complete confidence is gone, then the stable coin concept could be destroyed as people just sell. However, this phenomenon cannot occur with a CBDC itself. So this sort of people losing confidence in the pegging cannot occur with an actual CBDC. When you look at a direct CBDC, for example, it can only occur with synthetic CBDCs, which are not CBDCs, and they are just basically reserve-backed stablecoins. So is XRP and XLM a synthetic CBDC? Let's look at the evidence provided by Mr. Man to prove that it is.
Proof right here, okay? Stellar, look right here. Ukraine limited pilot test of synthetic CBDC in 2018. Based on the Stellar protocol. We've been through this so many times, you guys. You guys know this. I know you know this. Where we had walked together in regards to the whole Ukraine structure right now for the refugees using Tascom Bank and NBU, National Bank of Ukraine, with Bit Inc. and Stellar as the rails and USDC being issued to these Ukrainian people. Who is the synthetic CBDC? Who offers that liquidity? Right? Remember we were talking about the liquidity? Who offers that here? Stellar does. XLM.
This is his proof that XLM is basically a synthetic CBDC. And if you look at this part of the document from Project Hamilton, Build Overview and Open Policy Questions, in the presentation, there is a section on page 7, slide 7, where it says Retail CBDC, what's happening around the globe? And it talks about Ukraine. So they say limited pilot testing of synthetic CBDC in 2018 based on the Stellar protocol. They are committed to continuing research through 2025 and have partnered with Stellar and Bit. So he's used this sentence to basically say that XLM is a synthetic CBDC. Now, I don't know how he basically came to that conclusion because this sentence is not saying that at all. Let's look at what the sentence is actually saying. They're doing a pilot test of a synthetic CBDC, and I've described what a synthetic CBDC is. So they're doing a pilot test of a synthetic CBDC, and what network are they doing a pilot test on? They're doing it on the Stellar protocol. So how is XLM, which isn't the Stellar protocol, okay, it's a native token of the Stellar protocol, how is it a synthetic CBDC when they're not talking about XLM here? they're talking about a synthetic CBDC being created on the Stellar protocol. And we all know that these protocols can allow for tokenization, can allow for the creation of tokens. So the token that they're creating on the Stellar protocol is the synthetic CBDC, not the native token of the network itself, which is the gas token XLM. That isn't the synthetic CBDC. But what he's telling you here is this is telling you that XLM is basically a synthetic CBDC. And that is disingenuous research, because it's not telling you that at all. So this is his first proof, saying the Stellar protocol, because Ukraine is building a synthetic CBDC on it, XLM is now a synthetic CBDC, which is not the case at all. And we can look at what the Stellar Consensus Protocol is. The Stellar Consensus Protocol provides a way to reach consensus. So it's not describing XLM when they talk about the Stellar Protocol. It's describing the actual network and how it works. It provides a way to reach consensus without relying on a closed system to accurately record financial transactions. So this is not XLM. The Stellar protocol isn't the native token itself. It's the protocol and how it works and how it reaches consensus. It's basically the ledger. And on this ledger, they are building synthetic CBDCs. And those synthetic CBDCs are not XLM itself. And we can further go into understanding what is XLM crypto. XLM, or Stellar Lumens, is the native cryptocurrency of the Stellar blockchain, and it is used to pay transaction fees. And it's the same thing for the XRP ledger. XRP is the native cryptocurrency of the XRP blockchain used to pay transaction fees. Ether is the native cryptocurrency of the Ethereum blockchain used to pay transaction fees. However, it is not the only cryptocurrency on the Stellar blockchain, which can be used to move tokens representing anything from commodities to fiat currencies. And this line here is important because it's basically telling you that on the Stellar protocol, XLM, on the Stellar blockchain, XLM is not the only cryptocurrency. You can use the Stellar blockchain, the Stellar protocol, to create other tokens. It can be used to move other tokens representing anything from commodities to fiat currencies. So when Ukraine is building synthetic CBDCs, they're not talking about using XLM as a synthetic CBDC because they're using the Stellar protocol. The Stellar protocol can be used to create other tokens representing anything of value. So all they're doing is building a synthetic CBDC as a token on the Stellar blockchain, because you can do that on the Stellar blockchain. You can do that on the XRP ledger. You can do that on Ethereum. You can do that on many blockchains, to be honest. You can do that on Algorand. You can do that on HBAR. I mean, more or less, you can do that on Zinfin network. On all these networks, you can build tokens representing anything of value. And it's not the native token in and of itself. And that's what they're doing. Ukraine's building a synthetic CBDC. I've told you what a synthetic CBDC is. And they're building it on the Stellar protocol. This synthetic CBDC represents a stablecoin that's probably held, the reserves are held in some central bank master account that has nothing to do with XLM. If it's on the public Stellar blockchain, then the only connection XLM would have to it is that XLM would be used as gas fees and maybe for liquidity purposes. Other than that, XLM in and of itself is not a synthetic stablecoin, but the synthetic stablecoin is just being built on the Stellar blockchain. And Mr. Man saying basically the Stellar blockchain means XLM is a stablecoin or a synthetic CBDC is talking nonsense.
This here, I want to show you guys, this is a G20 document, or G30 document, sorry, it's spazzing out here, there we go. Digital currencies and stablecoins, G30 document, boom, that's how we roll. We use the heavy players, right? We don't just talk out of our buttholes. We know what we're talking about. On this channel, we know what we're talking about. We use documents, we use videos, we know how to backtrack our stuff, essentially, all right? Okay, a stablecoin backed by a basket of deposits at different central banks. It is possible that such a stablecoin could be valuable for cross-border payments, serving a function similar to that offered in the private sector by Ripple. Look at that, all right? Not my words. G30 here. A real-time gross settlement system, currency exchange and remittance network whose digital currency, XRP, leapfrogs slow, expensive correspondent banking. Shot. Everybody.
Here is his proof for XRP, Ripple being a stablecoin. And he used the G30 digital currency document. And this is the part of the document under coordinating the introduction of global official sector stablecoins. So they're talking about basically creating a stablecoin That's a global stablecoin. And it says a systemic hegemonic currency could, for example, be a stablecoin backed by a basket of deposits at different central banks. It is possible that such a stablecoin could be valuable for cross-border payments, serving a function similar to that offered in the private sector by Ripple, a RTGS system, currency exchange, and remittance network, whose digital currency XRP leapfrogs slow and expensive correspondent banking. So he used this sentence to say, oh, XRP is a stablecoin. And this is not what this sentence is saying at all. What this sentence is basically saying is that it's possible for a global stablecoin to be created who has their reserves backed by different central banks. Okay, follow me here. And this global stablecoin could be used for cross-border payments. Now, where is the comparison between XRP? The comparison between XRP is not the fact that it's a stablecoin, but its utility. This stablecoin could be valuable for cross-border payments. Now, what is XRP known to be used for? Cross-border payments. It's not saying XRP is a stablecoin, because anyone who understands XRP, this is basic stuff, man. I'm surprised he doesn't know this. Anyone who understands XRP would know that it, like XLM, it is a native token to the XRPL ledger, okay, and it's used for gas fees and it can be used for liquidity purposes. And it's not a stablecoin in any sense of the word. So what is the function that it's going to have in common, this stablecoin with XRP? It tells you here. Such a stablecoin could be valuable for cross-border payments, serving a function similar to that offered in the private sector. So they're comparing here, not stablecoin and XRP, but they're comparing how a potential global stablecoin could be used for cross-border payments and how XRP is used for cross-border payments in the private sector. And that's why the function is similar to that offered in the private sector by Ripple. And what does Ripple use? XRP. So they're saying basically, if they were to create, or if there is a global stablecoin, it could be used for cross-border payments, and the private sector is also doing something similar where they've created, and they used Ripple as an example, where they've created XRP for cross-border payments and to fulfill that role. The benefits of XRP is that it leapfrogs a slow and expensive correspondent banking, but they're saying that a global stablecoin could also take on that same utility function of XRP in cross-border payments, and can also be a way or a mechanism to leapfrog slow and expensive correspondent banking. It's not saying that XRP is a stablecoin per se or a synthetic stablecoin. It's just talking about the functionality, the utility in cross-border payments, how a stablecoin can do what XRP is doing, but not saying XRP is a stablecoin. I don't know how he jumped to the conclusion that this is telling people that XRP is a stablecoin when it isn't. And then we have David Schwartz here basically even further elaborating that XRP is not a stablecoin. He says XRP, to the claim that XRP can't magically become a stablecoin. Because some people say XRP is going to become a stablecoin, someone could offer to redeem XRP at some fixed rate for something else to set a floor price. And he's saying that if two people want to say, or an institution wants to say, okay, I'm going to basically set XRP at a fixed rate in order to create a floor price. But then he says, you could, even though that could possibly be done in theory, why would anyone want to do that? Why wouldn't they just issue a stable coin? Because you can create a stable coin on the network and not mess up XRP. If you want a stable coin, buy one. So here you can see he's separating XRP from a stable coin, because in its nature, okay, XRP is not a stable coin. This notion, that XRP being a stablecoin and backed by gold is never going to happen, because the institutions that do this would need full control of the asset. They would need to have full control of issuing the asset, being able to increase the supply, being able to burn it, and so on. And no one has that control of XRP. It has no counterparty risk in that regard, whereby it's being issued. It's just a native token to the XRP ledger. There is no one governing that token per se, in the manner that it would need to be governed in order for it to be a regulated stablecoin. So that's why he says, why would anyone want to do that? Because it makes no sense to try to put a fixed price on XRP when its value is basically determined by the open market, supply and demand, factors. Its value is not determined by being backed by some reserve. And then he says, why wouldn't you just create a stable coin? It's so much easier. You can just issue a stable coin. You can do that on the network. It takes what, a few moments of code? And why wouldn't you just do that and not mess up XRP? Like, his brain can't even comprehend this notion that XRP will be a stable coin because it's so absurd and ridiculous. If you want a stable coin, buy one or just make one. Then he continues, stable coins issued on the XRPL are not XRP. This is obviously correct. You can issue stable coins on the XRP ledger, but those are distinct assets from XRP. So Mr. Man is basically saying XRP in and of itself is a stable coin. But on the XRP ledger, you can issue stable coins. So why would you be able to issue stable coins when the native token in and of itself is a stable coin? Makes no sense. They have an issuer who typically redeems them and controls them. See, exactly what I was explaining. Unlike XRP, which doesn't work that way. And this is the reason why XRP would never be a stable coin, because it has no one governing its issuance. Okay, whereby it can be issued, it can be redeemed, it can be controlled, it can be burnt, it can be created at will. No one is doing that, and no institution would choose to do that over a token they don't control. People would only do that with tokens that they can control. This is why XRP would never be a stablecoin, because it doesn't work in that way. If you want to create a stablecoin, as he says, what does he say? Why wouldn't you just issue a stablecoin, create one? If you want a stablecoin, buy one, create one, rather than trying to make XRP, which doesn't work in that fashion, be a stablecoin. And the same thing with XLM. What he's saying here applies to XLM. So this notion that XRP and XLM are synthetic CBDCs is complete, made up fiction, fantasy, and this is the problem I have with the XRP community over and over again. They just keep producing nonsense. So to conclude this video, XRP and XLM are not synthetic CBDCs at all, and Mr. Man did not provide a shred or an ounce of evidence to even remotely prove that they are stablecoins backed by reserves in a central bank master account. In his video, he spent nearly 99% of it explaining what a synthetic CBDC is, and then claimed by misinterpreting the documents that XLM and XRP are synthetic CBDCs. Personally, I won't take any research from this guy at face value, because you are very likely going to be left misinformed about XRP. You don't want to take research from someone whereby when they present the information, you have to also double check the information, see whether it's correct, see whether they're reading the documents correctly or whether they're misrepresenting the documents. I mean, that's setting you at a disadvantage. It's like you have to research twice. You want to be able to take research from someone, okay, whereby you know that that person has very likely done their due diligence and is presenting the information as correct as possible, not whereby you have to also fact check the person you're taking research from. So with that being said, always do your own research. And this is why I tell people to just do your own research. Don't even listen to me. I mean, I'm not telling you, oh, don't do your own research. Take research from me, as some you just tell people. If you feel like I'm doing a good job at researching, fine. But always do your own research. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so as to not miss my next video.